Hello, everyone, and on today's show, we recap the debate last night. What happened, what went down, fireworks were going off, and was it worth it? All right. We're getting that also. Expected sentencing today of actress Felicity Huffman, and more. So, including clean water and a showdown versus a recession. So, slowdown versus a recession. So that's going to be all very interesting to take a look into. But we're going to start, of course, by playing some highlights from the debate. We'll spend, I think, definitely the most time on the debate for you today. But yeah, we start with some of the clips from last night. And yeah, we'll start with Biden and all talking about Biden. So, he was somewhat more articulate from the White on his kind of own case of the White House, because it was really a little bit strange because there wasn't really any major vision articulated. I really didn't think, from what I saw from Joe Biden last night, there just wasn't any kind of real vision of why he wants to be president. You could really see it in everybody else, but it just was not there for Joe Biden, I think. So, but again, Biden was probably the one who was being attacked the most. I think really deservedly so. Which is, again, it's all a point. But here's some of the clips from this debate. But we will, trust me, we will play a lot more. But again, it's just like, I do not get how we can possibly see that this, like, what vision is? I don't see any vision here. I don't see any reason why Joe Biden wants to run. I just don't see it at all. And we'll play some of the highlights for you. But, I mean, there was some meandering syntax, some verbal gymnastics, and it was definitely a little weird from him.
So, President Trump, you've spent the last 2.5 years full-time trying to sow hate and division among us.
We have a white supremacist in the White House.
I remember President Trump scoffed and said he'd like to see me making a deal with Xi Jinping. I'd like to see him making a deal with Xi Jinping.
And he is treating our farmers and our workers like poker chips in one of his bankrupt casinos.
And now, President Trump, you can go back to watching Fox News.
The truth is, the big mistake, the huge mistake, and one of the big differences between you and me, I never believed what Cheney and Bush said about Iraq.
If she qualifies are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago? Are you forgetting already what you said just 2 minutes ago?
Yeah, so you can see there the candidates, just clips of the candidates going after both Biden and Donald Trump. But we're going to go back to that a little bit more. Really, for some fireworks between Julian Castro and Joe Biden. So, but yeah, Warren also kind of went unscathed, really, in her fiercest debate yet. It was interesting to see. While Biden and Sanders argued to her right, and Julian Castro lobbed grenades at Biden from her left, Warren really kind of walked away unscathed. Nobody attacked her, no one questioned her electability, no one said anything she'd done in her life was misguided. She wasn't involved in that's most memorable exchanges, which is pretty much exactly where she wanted to be. She's been steadily rising in the polls and seen her popularity among Democratic primary voters increase as of late. Warren once again got off scot-free in a presidential primary debate. She didn't instigate tension with the other candidates, and nobody said anything about her. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Bernie's at the point where he's going to attack her, and I don't think really anyone else is either, because they just don't view her as someone worth attacking yet. Because Biden is there, he's sitting there, he's very easily attackable. He's very easily, there's just so many things you could point out that he did wrong and did a little bit weirdly when it comes to things that turn off the Democratic Party base. Why attack Warren when you can still continue to attack Biden, who is not always the best? But yeah, I mean, if you look at the debates here, Biden, obviously, he spoke the most. I mean, I guess he's the front runner. Warren then spoke somewhat soon after that. Booker, for literally no reason, got the third most speaking time, followed by Sanders. So it was, again, it was not the best moderated debate, but I feel like we're always saying that, but that's the thing. So, yeah. Here's another interesting clip from Le Débat. and it is like it's all very interesting stuff. But anyway, here is Sanders having a little bit of a conflict with Joe Biden. So over a variety of issues, take a listen.
I should have never voted to give Bush the authority to go in and do what he said he was going to do.
And one of the big differences between you and me, I never believed what Cheney and Bush said about Iraq.
You're right.
I voted against the war in Iraq.
That was just one of the many, many issues well, not really one of the many, many issues, but one of the big issues where Biden really or Sanders really distanced himself from Biden as someone who really, I think this is probably the compelling case to make. They've both been in politics for around the same amount of time. I mean, both really been in there for about 40 years or so. And you can see one's made a completely opposite set of decisions that all have been proven right now. I mean, and just one hasn't. Like, you can always make the case that, oh, it was a different time. People didn't understand. People now don't understand what life was like back then, and the decisions that you had to make at the time with the Iraq War. Everything was so convincing. The crime bill. I mean, it was just a really bad situation. People don't understand. But no, people do understand, and people in this race were there and made the right decisions. Like, you can't make that case when there is someone who's already there who made the right decisions, who had the right moral clarity and moral vision to know that what he did, what he stood up for, was going to be satiable and palatable to a Democratic primary audience, 30, 20, even 40 years down the road with their decisions that they made. Yeah, no one's attacking Bernie's record, that's for sure. Yeah. So that is all a very interesting and probably pretty key part of the debate. Senator Kamala Harris's plan in the first Miami debate was to take on Joe Biden. Her objective in Houston would seem to be to pivot out to the politically safer terrain of attacking Trump. Indeed, she addressed him directly in her opening statement, ending it with, "Now, President Trump, you can go back to watching Fox News." So yeah, one-liners are a fact of life in political debates, but string too many together in one setting and they can go from zinging to cloying, and Harris had a notable number of set pieces that sounded pretty rehearsed on Thursday. Klobuchar, with her "Houston, we have a problem," and conducting trade policy by tweet or whatever. Like, some of those lines and some of the, I think I played one that Klobuchar said earlier, but I forgot what it was. It was just so unmemorable. It was just makes you want to smack your head. Yeah, this was a little weird, but she did kind of she seemed a little bit spacey, I don't know. But she said, "He reminds me of the guy in The Wizard of Oz. When you pull back the curtain, it's a really small dude." I mean, they all really kind of landed individually with a certain audience. Like, but I mean, again, if you're a little bit more skeptical like me, if you're a little bit more like, I don't want to hear a politician. I mean, I don't really think they all necessarily landed. Some of them were pretty cringy. Some of them were like, okay, what? I mean, maybe they landed with some people, maybe find funny, charming, but together, if you think back at what impression Kamala Harris made at you in the debate, like, that means she's a politician. She's someone who is going to come in and say things that are scripted, that are not really very much from her heart. Like, you don't know that everything she says she actually believes, because she could be agreeing to one thing during the debate and the next morning completely changing her entire mind. So you do not know. So again, very, very controversial stuff between Biden and Castro last night. So they have been hitting each other hard over this. The healthcare conversation during Thursday's 2020 presidential debate was mostly sour and infuriating. Then Julian Castro blew it up and took Joe Biden along with him. Biden now been up until that point in the debate, in the healthcare discussion, which I believe was first, had been tangling with Bernie Sanders. You know, obviously this goes by now. Biden's leveling disingenuous attacks on Medicare for All, saying that for some reason Medicare for All won't be in place when the current system is repealed or whatever. So there'll just be a waiting time period of chaos until Medicare for All supposedly kicks in. Does not make any sense. Yeah, Warren and Sanders were both parrying these attacks, which was nice to see. George Stephanopoulos also asking pretty bad questions. Pete Buttigieg also managed to throw out a remarkably conservative answer on healthcare. At one point, Biden said the public portion of his healthcare plan, if you want Medicare for all, if you lose your job from your employer, you can automatically buy into this. Let's see. It's pretty. It gets pretty intense. They wouldn't have to buy in. They do not have to buy in. They do not have to buy in, he says. So let's see. Let's play this clip from this little exchange here. That we'll have that for you in just a moment. In actually 10 seconds. But yeah, it's really everyone in the crowd was also kind of surprised since Castro was going. Well, she was going there. Biden's mental faculties have been a subject of persistent debate, so it's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out.
Barack Obama's vision was not to leave 10 million people uncovered. He wanted every single person in this country covered. My plan would do that. Your plan would not.
They do not have to buy in. They do not have to buy in.
You just said that. You just said that 2 minutes ago. You just said 2 minutes ago that they would have to buy in. You said they would have to buy in.
Have to buy in. If she qualifies,
are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago?
Oh.
What you said just 2 minutes ago? I mean, I can't believe that you said 2 minutes
Bernie
ago
comes and
that
says
they
something
had to
too.
buy in, and now you're saying they don't have to buy. You're forgetting that.
Said anyone like your grandmother who has no money,
she would healthcare system.
You're automatically
enrolls people regardless of whether they choose to opt in or not. If you lose your job, for instance, his healthcare plan would not automatically enroll you. You would have to opt in. My healthcare plan would. That's a big difference. I'm fulfilling the legacy of Barack Obama, and you're not.
I'll be surprised to him.
All right, so yeah, that's definitely a little interesting. So, yeah, like it's all very interesting. So at one point, Biden says about the public portion of his healthcare plan, if you want Medicare, if you lose the job from your employer, you can automatically buy into this. And then he says, something completely different, pretty much. So it can be really, really infuriating. And I don't know if this is the clip of it.
They do not have to buy in.
You just said
this
that.
is the same exchange here. But he also does kind of go on to say, he does kind of go on to say, very interestingly enough, later on in the debate, he's talking a lot more about how I forget what issue it was, but it was something to do with the idea of, it was immigration, because he was like, what? The moderator asked him to talk about the policies of Barack Obama with the deportation, the high amount of deportations that Obama did, and said, does he support it? Well, he says, no, I'm the vice president. And they asked Castro, and he's like, oh, well, I disagree with it, even though I was in his administration. I actually can come out and say what I support, because that was just such the most infuriating line, and he got all pissed. Biden got all pissed at Castro about it, but he was totally right to say that, because he should at least come in and say, do I support the 3 million deportations or do I not? Like, it shouldn't be that hard to come out there and say that, because like, if you really want to keep that policy, you got to absolutely be able to defend it. I think that's totally fair to say. Yeah. It was I don't know if it was a little weird. I don't know if you know this. It was a Beto O'Rourke love fest last night. The one candidate whose entry and brief rise in the campaign elicited the most mockery and jealousy among rival campaigns kind of became a figure of admiration at Thursday's debate following his response to the mass shooting that killed 22 people at a Walmart in his hometown in El Paso. The way he handled what happened in his hometown is meaningful, said Biden, who seemingly forgot Beto's surname. Beto, God love you for standing so courageously in the midst of this tragedy, says Kamala Harris. I so appreciate what the congressman's been doing, said Klobuchar, before she offered a disagreement with this proposal to require the owners of assault weapons to sell them to the government. And that was a pretty crazy moment. It was like, you got assault weapons, you got an AK-47 or an AR-15, you got to sell that to the government. You cannot have it anymore, because that is going to be a tweetable one. That's going to be put on a shirt right next to the F word for Beto's campaign, because that's definitely something that he probably thought would be the line of the night. Someone saying, yes,